So thank you for being part of this Returning to Love journey. So who all have attended Returning to Love before? Yahan par? Okay, quite, okay, okay. Who's new? Let's keep that because I think, okay. Okay. So yeah. Well, like all of you know, that Returning to Love was started in 2022 because we wanted to inspire people to operate from a space of love and not from fear. So that has always been the vision of RTL. And to take forward that vision, we've had a lot of offline events like this. We always invite special guests that we call Voices of Love and Voices of Inspiration, which you both are for us today. And we've also been doing the RTL Talks, which is our podcast. I hope all of you have been watching those. So I'll come straight to what we are going to be doing today. So our today's event is focusing on, you know, there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of uncertainty in recent times. How do we stay rooted in those times? Because, you know, we don't want to talk about love in a philosophical, in a poetic way. While those things are important, what we feel is important is also to have the tools to be rooted in love, because it's easier said than done. जब सर पे पड़ती है ना तो हम लोग fail हो जाते हैं. So you know, we have to, we as a community, we want to find ways in which we can stay rooted in love even in those times. And one of the very beautiful things that I learned recently from this group that we have called Seekers and Seers is meditation through contemplation. When times like these, you know, in times like these, we don't have to reflect individually, we can reflect as a community. So that is what we aim to do today. It's a very intimate gathering, and we hope to have very open conversations, and you know, all of you just open up your hearts. Please be vulnerable, you know, share, ask questions. We have two very, very special guests today. I'm very happy to introduce to you. I've known them for a very long time. They've been like mentors to me and an inspiration for sure. So truly voices of love and inspiration. So we have with us Arpinder Kaur, Captain Arpinder Kaur. She's been flying the commercial plane since 2008, 2008, many years now. And she's the captain of American Airlines. So it was very interesting when I sent out this invite to people in the group. So in one of the groups, somebody saw the message and said they thought that there's a new Captain America. You know, the Marvel Captain America. So America, yeah, she's quite like that actually. So we had that very interesting thing happening in one of the groups. So she is that superwoman for me. So we wanted to have her perspective on, you know, like what we've been talking about. And we have with us Pritpal Singh, who's a physician at Cigna. And he's also in the board of the Sikh Research Institute in US. A lot of you are familiar with the work of the Sikh Research Institute. They've been our partners in, you know, some of our previous events. So Pritpal Singh will be sharing about tools, you know, that can help us stay rooted in these times. So welcome both of you, and thank you for being here. My quick thoughts about this. I feel when there's so much innovation and technology, and you know, we enjoy the benefits of flying, then when we have air tragedy like we did have of Air India, when we collectively enjoy something, then we should also collectively grieve. You know, the consequences of those innovations and technology, you know, we should be in those moments together, and that for me is oneness. You know, when you can feel those things as well. So Arpinder, if you can share a little bit, let's start with your background first. Sure. We would like to know how you made the decision about, you know, wanting to fly. about your childhood. When did this come to you? And then we'll come more to the contemplation part of it. So.
Hello everybody, Sat Shri Akal, Namaste. First of all, I do want to thank Anika and the team, Returning to Love, to have us here and in a very personal setting to be able to share our stories. So thank you very much. My background, I was born in Amritsar, Punjab. I was 14 when we immigrated to immigrated to US. And on my flight to US, it was my first time sitting in an airplane. And the flight attendant asked me if I wanted to see the flight deck. And at 14 you're curious, so I said, yeah, why not? And I sat in the flight deck and I told myself that this is what I want to do.
Wow.
And so it began there. And of course, being new immigrants, my parents, especially my mom, said, jado vyah ho jayega na, fir tu jo marji kar li. Till then, you have to, be, because normally that's, us parents, that's what we do. We want to have everything very according to the social norms, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾ ਲਓ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਾ ਲਓ ਫਿਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਰ ਲਓ so personal careers kind of take a back space. So at the time I started my high school in US, did 9th through 12th, and then for college I asked my mom again, it's something I really want to do, and again, knowing her and knowing myself at the time, I didn't want to really argue with her. So I continued. My bachelor's was in IT. After finishing that, the day after my graduation from college, we were engaged. So I was 22. So I hadn't seen the world yet. Even for college, I stayed at home. I didn't go out. So really didn't know what was out there. And he was already practicing. He's a family medicine doctor. He was already practicing, and their family immigrated in Kansas, which is mid of US basically. And he asked me for the future. Their family really believes in education. So he asked me whether I wanted to continue education or wanted to find a job, because I would have to move since he was already practicing there. And at that time I just saw that there's an opening, so I asked him, it's like, I've always wanted to fly. To my surprise, he goes, then what's stopping you? Let's start. So that's when I started taking my flight lessons, and that's when the journey began. Together we kind of built it together. As far as my career, his career was already there, but as far as my career, a lot of support from him, from in-laws, which is very surprising because in-laws want their daughter-in-laws to be home, most of the time, to take care of the household and the kids. But my parents-in-law never had any issues with me with the education and continuing what my passion was.
Wow, excellent.
One question.
Hanji. Thank you.
Brilliant.
मैंने जितनी कितनी मैं नाल छोड़ flight
when I started lessons, so मैं पहला नन्नू लेके गई सी छोटे airplanes ਵਿੱਚ, but he didn't like that.
ਉਹ ਹੋਇਆ ਇਦਾਂ ਸੀਗਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਝੂਟੇ ਲਾ ਲਵਾਂ। इस पंजाबी गुड, और वैसे मैं झांसी से हूँ, मैं हिंदी बुंदेलखंडी भी बोल सकता हूँ। मिक्स कर देता हूँ आपको, मिक्स कर देना है यहाँ। So मैंने she was like ऊपर जाना है, मैंने कहा अभी तो जाना, 50 साल बाद में चलेंगे। But she took me on a small plane, and literally within 30 seconds, छोटा plane ना एम करता डगमग, and I'm like, land this plane now. And I have not been on a plane since then with her.
Wow.
ਆਫ ਕੋਰਸ
ਹਾਂਜੀ।
ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਫਿਰ ਪਲੇਨ ਲੈਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਆਉਣ ਲਈ ਨਾ but I think the moral of the message of the story here is, you know, every human being has a potential. You know, most of us really don't realize what it is because we're busy bodies, right? So the idea is to reflect, think about what you really want. And if you're in a position, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਡ੍ਰੀਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੀ ਕਰਾ ਲਓ. So ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸੀਗਾ I always wanted to be a teacher. But my dad told me, तुम्हारी बहन नहीं बनी डॉक्टर, तुम्हारा भाई नहीं, तुमको तो बनना ही बनना है. So I was like, at least I wanted to be a historian or a professor of history. मैंने कहा अगर मेरी नहीं पूरी हुई कोई गल नहीं, at least मैं अपनी वाइफ दी ड्रीम पूरी करा देना.
ਔਰ ਇਸ ਮਾਮਲੇ 'ਚ ਅਲੀ
The support was always there. You know, I started commercial flying 16 years ago when our older son was 2. So I was leaving him behind, and for 4 days sometimes, for 5 days sometimes. And you know, pilots, we have schedules. We don't come back home every night. If we're gone for 4 days, and we're staying in hotels. And so after 4 days, you'd come home, and then you continue with the house stuff. And so it's just you're on a circle of just catching up and then going back to work and then catching up. I think what's made me stable and kind of grounded in what I'm doing is my passion. And I feel, we even tell our kids, you know, if you're passionate about something, you'll wake up for that. Nobody will have to tell you to wake up to go do that. So it's very important for all of us to find what that passion is for ourselves.
Absolutely. And sometimes when I'm having long days or we are at long shoots, yesterday, so Suraj is here, he's our editor, and he has some stamina to be on the computer and edit for like 18 hours at a go if it needs to be done. And I was just telling him ki ye nasha hai, you know, like, because what we do is like so addictive and it's so beautiful because it's our calling. So Mama sometimes comes to my room, she's like, ऐसे लगता है कि दिन है तुम्हारे कमरे में, you know, because you know the days can be as long but you don't feel tired. In fact, at the end of the busy day, you feel more energized, you know.
And that is the, you know, returning to love. That's kind of the love that's pushing us in doing what we're doing and continuously doing it without any hesitancy, you know.
Right. And talking about, like, you know, decisions. So today it was very interesting. So at the breakfast table, we had my nephew there who's 10, and Bhavi was trying to ask him if he knows, you know, what the role of the pilot is when you are inside that deck, you call it the flight deck, yeah?
Or cockpit.
Or a cockpit. So I'm trying to remember what she shared with him. It was so simplified because we've never looked at it like this. So she's like, who's the person who sits on the right? So he's like, co-pilot. So she's like, yes, that's also called a first officer. Yeah. And who's the person who sits on the left? So that's the captain. So this is a co-pilot, the first officer, and the other is a captain. And the co-pilot has 3 stripes, and the captain has 4 stripes. And what's the difference in their role? What's the difference in their roles? It is that the captain makes the decisions. Yeah. So they both fly. But what makes one different from the other is the ability to make decisions. And that's the difference in being a leader and being a worker as well.
Yeah.
As we go forward and we refine our ability to make decisions in a better way, you know, that's when we become a leader. But it's not just about making decisions, it's about being so aligned with yourself and in your oneness that decisions is a byproduct of that alignment, you know.
For
so
sure.
It requires a lot of self-work too.
Yes.
So let's go a little bit deeper into that journey of not just becoming pilot as a skill, as you know, as a profession, but also what it takes, what qualities, what self-work, what reflections, you know, does it take to get there or to get anywhere. Like when you listen to her story, be present to that, but also think about whatever profession you come from, think of these qualities, are you imbibing those? Are you absorbing those? So
Yeah.
over to you.
So, it's a very good point that to be able to continue doing something, you have to be grounded. So going a little deeper, as a Sikh, personally, I feel we're all leaders. We're born leaders. And we carry a lot on our shoulders. And especially, personally, when I decided to wear my turban, I told myself at that point that anything and everything I do from here onwards, it's not just for myself, but for the community. It's for that sangat around me. It's going to open a lot of doors for my siblings, a lot of the other kids. So you have to really have faith in yourself in what you're about to do. I think without that faith and without that self-care, you're not able to really accomplish what your passion is. I feel like that's very important. The self-care is very important. And with that, you need to, whatever you're doing, it needs to be to the level where you're topping everything. You're basically, you're trying to, you're not trying to just go by. You're trying to put yourself at a point where nobody's able to question your skills. And there came times when I would go in the flight deck with my turban, and as a first officer, captain, like you just said, captain makes the decisions. So captains have the right to fly or not fly with you as a first officer. So at that point, directly nobody said anything to me, but I sensed that I have to prove to everyone that I can do just as much as my coworker as a captain can do. So really had to be best at what I was doing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I think so we have Swarna here, and Swarna is an international para athlete. She's won many medals for India, and I was having this conversation with her as well. Like, being a person with disability, you've had to prove yourself too many a times. You can do it, but when people look at you, they perceive that you won't be able to do a certain task. And I think we all feel limited in some ways, and we feel the need to prove. But I think rather than feeling, like, why should I be doing that, if you take it up as a challenge, or you take it up as, that's just how the world is, or something like that.
And it is, because even now, you'll see the flight deck is mostly male, especially white male oriented, in US at least. By the way, fun fact, India has the most female pilots in the world. Yeah.
You should clap.
And I don't know a lot of people, but for me, in fact, the earlier invite, the draft invite, I had this written that she's the world's first turbaned woman pilot.
Yeah, so not the world's, but I would say North America.
Okay.
At least in the North America, I'm the first turban. And that was a lot of process that I had to go through. But I don't want to bring the weaknesses. I want to make this as a strength, because like you said, there's always something that somebody's not going to like.
Right.
And that could be your physical self or your anything else, actually, to that matter. So for that, you just have to, I think, really put yourself to a point where nobody's able to question your abilities. Nobody's able to question that you are just as good as they are in the flight deck.
Right. Right. Okay. Excellent. Are there any examples from your experience, where this inner work came in handy? These tools, these things that you work on yourself, helped you in that kind of a situation,
in that decision making.
Yeah.
So basically, in aviation, we kind of say that as a first officer, you look over to your left and you have the captain, so you know that there's somebody there to help you. And then as a captain, you look over and you see the window, so you see yourself. So basically, it's just you. So a lot of times you have to make decisions that everybody might not feel are good, but you have to do it for the safety of the flight. So, for example, everybody feels very privileged these days. So I'm talking about a passenger who was in first class. He came in and I guess he had done some kind of surgery on his foot, so he had crutches. And the flight attendant in first class was just trying to help him. He wasn't able to fit his crutches up on top, so she was trying to tell him that I can fit them in the closet. And that's all she said. And he started cursing at her. So she came up to the flight deck and talked to me. She said that this is what he's doing, and he's keep on repeating that to the others around. And it's just, I was only trying to help. And in that instant, because she didn't feel comfortable with having him on board, it was my decision to make sure that he does not fly on that flight. Because at the end of the day, my strength is with my first officer and my flight attendants. Because if they're not comfortable with the flight, then I'm not comfortable with the flight. So those are the kind of decisions, you have to make. But in that, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to know that you're doing this. There's a bigger purpose. There's a.
So what happened? It's terminated.
Yeah.
So what did you do then?
So we don't go directly to the passenger. We call our company security, and they come out and they talk to that passenger. And actually, at the end, he started apologizing to her, but it was just too late. At that point, he had already.
But you didn't have to get your flight down, right?
No. This was at the gate. This was at the gate.
This was at the gate.
Yes. This is just when they're boarding, and she was just trying to help him with his crutches, being nice. But that's kind of one example where you're trying to support who you can fall back to. I'm trying to support my flight attendants who I'm going to fall back to if something goes wrong during the flight.
Wow.
What-
So
what-
I guess standing up to.
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਟੋਰੀਆਂ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ I have another one. What about the one where you had to divert your plans because somebody was having shortness of breath?
Yeah, those are medical emergencies, but this is this was more of a person who was feeling privileged that they can just be in first class and do and say whatever they want to, but it doesn't work like that. And I needed to have backup. I needed to have the side of my flight attendants at that time. I felt that if I do that, the flight for the rest of whatever 3-4 hours that I'm going to be in flight, I can depend on them.
Yeah, because those times are tough.
Shaken up adventure or something.
Hanji?
Any incident?
Where you're shaking around like.
So yeah, that is one of those. No.
What he was reminding of.
Yes, what he was reminding me of. So I became a captain on the Boeing 737 two years ago. And this is my second month being a captain. And we're flying from Chicago to New York. And we're about crossing Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I hear from my flight attendant that there's a passenger who is unresponsive and his blood pressure is, I don't know, 280 over something. So he might be having a stroke. And so at that point, we don't always have doctors or ER personnel on board. We're not required to. We're not required to. If there is somebody, they'll help us out. We do need to see their ID. So flight attendants will take their help. But we don't have to have a doctor on board. But they have access to a doctor on the ground. The flight attendants do. It's a company doctor that can talk to them and tell them how to manage.
Right.
But at this point, when they said that he might be having a stroke, the doctor at that point said, we need to come back down wherever you are. So that was a very panicky situation. And at that point, you know, you want a reliable first officer who's able to, you know, help you. So that crew resource, you know, comes in handy. And so we talked to the company and we talked to air traffic controllers and quickly made the decision that we're going to land at Pittsburgh. And within 15 minutes, we were at the gate handing him over to the medical team.
Right.
So those are the kind of things that, you know, you continue to make decisions, and you have to believe in your training, you have to believe in yourself, and that you're doing the best for everybody. And you know, after that, we had all the other passengers that still needed to go to New York, so we had to refuel and had to get them to New York. So we landed at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
But
wow.
yeah.
I guess it's also this training of mind, right? When you're constantly training yourself to be calm in these kind of situations.
Yes, for sure.
How does that feed into your personal life, you know?
So as far as decision making, believe it or not, I'm actually not a good decision maker at home. He is.
The kids are here too. You can maybe say if Mama is a good decision maker at home.
Who makes the decisions at home?
Oh, Papa.
Yep. So it's
घर फिर किसने चलाना ही हैगा.
Yeah, I guess especially because
See, that's also a decision that I let him make the decision.
Exactly.
That's the smartest decision.
Exactly. Because you know, you have to know your weakness and your strengths. And
Right.
my strength in a flight deck is that, you know, I
Who knows who's the best person for the job? So there you are.
and so I know I have faith in my capabilities that I'm able to do what I, you know, because I love it.
Right.
My passion is there. So I know that decisions I'm making with looking at the whole picture, you know, looking at whatever the the overall situation, how it is at that point.
Right.
But at home, you know, there's your partner. You know that they're able to make better decisions than you. So you leave. You know, there's no ego. So you have to leave certain things to the other person. You know, you need to know what you are good at and what you're not good at also. So that's yeah.
I'll comment. May I comment on that? Yeah. So I'll comment on that. I think what she really has, you have to know yourself very well. So ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ देख रहे हो, we've been married, ये 22 साल की खिचड़ी पकी हुई है, right? So इसको time लगा, you know, और casserole कह लो बनाने के, you know, it took time. It wasn't like that the first year or the second or third year of marriage. You know, earlier it was like ਲੱਤ ਮੇਰੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, you know, ਇਹ ਕੱਲ ਦੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਕਿੱਥੋਂ ਆ ਗਈ, right? So but you have to really let go of your ego, especially the male ego. Because the male ego, the way we are in society, it always wants to be on top. So I think
You're conditioned to think.
you're conditioned, you're bombarded.
Yeah, the society has made you such.
Yeah, the society has made it. So I think this is maybe for a second edition of you know, Returning to Love. But I think you learn with experience. Those of you who are married or in long-term relationship, पता लग जाता है, right? कि like I am the design team, right, in corporate world in our relationship, but she's the implementation team, right? And when she does something, I just get out of the way because मैं तो आउँदा ही नहीं, right? And I can design something, but if she says I cannot implement this, then I'm back to the drawing table, design, right? So this is where you have to let go of the ego and you really work collaboratively. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਪਤੀ ਪਤਨੀ this that, no. You know in your heart and in your mind that how you're complementing each other. It's not always about, you might be thinking, wow. When we got married, people were like, wow. Or after a few years, when she became a pilot, like, wow, this is nice. Dr. Munda, pilot. They don't know the struggles.
Yeah.
For 4 दिन, 4 days she's gone. Munda mere kola roi janda mummy chahidi hegi, So these are the struggles, right? So I'm not getting dinner. So guys, what's more important? Your wife's dreams or garam roti table te honi chahidi hai? So again, I'll save more examples for later, but I wanted to comment on that you have to know yourself, how you're wired. And this is how you complement each other. And sometimes males, you just have to get out of the way.
I like that. You just have to get out of the way. Thank you. And let's take a pause and reflect when there is news like this, when there are things happening, when there's war happening, when you open up the newspaper and when you look at things. And we've been I would think that we've been very fortunate that media's played a role in humanizing these incidents. We know the people on the flight, we know who was what, we know their backgrounds. So, we connect with those things. How do you stay rooted in those times? Like, in such uncertain times, when you see war is a very dark side of humanity, right? And then there are these things, that happen. So what do you do in those times? I mean, this whole thing about returning to love and stay rooted and all that, samajh nahi aata kya karu,
Very good question. So since I've been here, we've been here for a week, I think just over a week now. And I've been getting this question everywhere. Everybody wants to know, oh, she's a pilot. Okay, so what happened to that 787 Dreamliner that went down within 30 seconds? Well, overall, you have to trust the process. I don't know if you guys know, but just in India, every hour, there are 20 deaths. Every hour. And
from air accidents?
No, from road accidents. Sorry,
Okay.
I want to clarify that. Thanks for clarifying that. From road accidents, every hour there are 20 deaths. But because we don't see them all together, we're not sensible to them, right? Because we didn't see 20 of them going out together. Aviation is still a very safe place. It is, and I can personally attest to that. Yes, but when something like this happens and there are 200 plus lives that are lost, it brings you down. It really does. And that was a day, when I heard, I was like, how can this happen? A Dreamliner, which is only an 11-year-old plane, it's only been out for 11 or 12 years. How can it just, within 30 seconds, just kind of, go down like that? So in aviation, there's a process to everything. They have to go through all the requirements of finding out exactly what happened. I don't want to make any speculations here because I'm not supposed to. I'm not a, what do you call them? A subject, authority here, yes. Because the authorities will be going through the process and the requirements of the process to be able to let the public know what happened. And it will come out. There are a lot of people I've been noticing. We have a group of pilots, actually Desi pilots, and a lot of them have flown here and now they're flying for American. And they had been posting a lot of reports regarding this accident. And one of them who actually flew for Jet Airways here was saying that all these reports that are coming out, people are just making those up. Official reports have not come out yet, okay? And the thing is, And that's another thing with social media. I feel that it's nice that we know the families, we know who was on there. It's very nice because it makes it more personal. But at the same time, there's a lot of news on the social media that's just, I would say it's fake. So don't believe everything that you see on social media till you yourself do some research. As far as this incident, I would not be believing anything till Boeing itself comes out with the report, because you know they're having to go through all that process. But as far as dealing with things like this, my personal, I mean, I did get down. You know, it was like that day when I was leaving. Actually, I was flying the next day, and I was leaving, and I told Pritpal, "Well, I'll see you if I'm alive." I just made a joke about it, but I mean, it's not a joke. But you know, things come to your mind that what if I could have been that captain, and you know, gotten down like that. It could have happened to anybody, any of the pilots. But at the end of the day, you do have to trust the process. You have to trust your abilities. You have to trust the system. Hanji.
Pilot निकल सीधा स्विस वाले.
No, so it's not a fighter jet. Somebody else asked me this question also. Fighter jets have where you can eject yourselves. In commercial airliners, no. And pilots actually, believe it or not, will try their best to get that plane back in the air. They will try their best. They're not the ones to say, oh, bari khol ke si baar nikal jiye. No. They will try their best because it's not cargo in the back, it's people. You know, it's lives in the back. So we try our best to get that plane safely on the ground or safely in the air.
That person 101 CDC, वो आपका भी बाहर आ गया.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ there are just a lot of different stories, and you know, I'm actually not a big social media person, because that can really mess around with your mind.
And I think it's important to have those filters when you're reading news, when you're talking with people. There's so much of information overload these days that if you don't have those filters inside of you, where you're like, okay, if I'm reading about this consuming of content, what is it doing to me, or processing that content? That's why this collective energy and contemplation is so important. You know.
So that's where you have to come back and trust what you're actually doing. You know, your abilities and just the abilities of aviation overall.
Okay, well, this was great. We can continue some of this conversation in the question answer round, or when we have our reflections. And at some point, I'd love to hear from the kids as well. Your reflections and whatever you take from your parents and your takeaways. So at some point, do step in. And I also want to take Renu Auntie is here. Thank you so much for giving us the space and
yes.
Uncle
Thank
as
you.
well. Thank you so much. You've been so generous and so kind. We really appreciate this gesture. And I would also say that there are not a lot of people here. We were feeling grateful for them to give the space, and Auntie just wrote a message to me a few days ago saying how grateful she was that we were doing this at her house and the energy that this would bring to the house. And it really brought tears to my eyes. I'm still getting goosebumps because there are not a lot of people who would say things like that. So I really appreciate your words and your generosity. Right. So this is a good point, good time to go to Pritpal Viji. You've been stepping in, but
हाँ जी मैं जी जिंदगी च एक बार ही मूरे तुरिया कईयां नूं समझ नहीं आया लावां होंदियां बंदा मूरे you walk forward. I'm saying I only did that once in life. She is the captain.
So, Viji, we've had a bit of your introduction, but something from your side, like we'd like to get some tools, because one can get very lost. So, if you could, in your presentation, focus on the practical aspect of that, we would really like that from you.
Sure.
So yeah, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Anika. Thank you again for hosting the event, Veerji and Panji. We appreciate it, and Anika and the entire team, and thank you for showing up. I was born, मैं झांसी का हूँ, बुंदेलखंड का, and I was 10 साल का था जब when I moved to America. So I had to learn English there, and then Punjabi भी उत्थे जाके सीखिया आएगा. So we know when you move to a different country, there's a very culture shock. This is 1986. So only Doordarshan Siga. There was no internet. There's nothing. So a lot of this is sort of self-development, a lot of self-introspection. And one of the things I found as I grew, first you just try, as an immigrant family, you just try to make ends meet. Parents ne factory ach kam kita, just like your parents did, So life, honta, people who go, they're professionals mostly. But I'm just giving you context here. So you know ki pichokad kiyega. But dad worked for Indian Railways, mom was a teacher here. But when we moved to America, that didn't translate into anything. It was meaning working in factories. My mom is blind from one eye. She could not even work. So a lot of it is hardships. So what happens is when there's a disruption like that, you question everything. पहले 3 महीने तो मैं रोता ही रहा कि कहाँ फंस गए आके. But when the reality sank in that we're not going back, that's when you try to, figure out what is the best way forward. And you learn, that's where the tools come in.
Yeah.
You learn the system. You learn English. I was going to school, people are making fun of me. They never seen somebody like me where we moved. When I was going to Gurdwara, they were making fun of me. Because ek aisa sardar hai Punjabi nahi aunਦੀ, because I was speaking Bundelkhandi. So it was a lot of soul searching, but we took it positively. That's okay. It just means I need to learn English. I need to learn Punjabi. And then I learned different accents of Punjabi. So my wife's background is from Amritsar. When my in-laws come, फिर उनका खड़े हो जाओ की करन डया, फिर मैं डया निकलदा हैगा. जब जलंधर वाला मिलता फिर के पे everything is short form. So idea is take things positively. Don't be down. Because whoever is out there, or even just in your head, they want to step on you when you're down. They want to break your faith. Or perhaps whatever is in your mind, don't be down. Tell yourself you can do it. That's what I had to do.
Right, yeah.
So when you capture yourself, you get focused, you make short goals and you try to move up. And you can acquire competencies. Idea is if you want to accomplish in life, you can acquire any competency. You want to learn about leadership? Okay, take this class. Influence, networking, do this training. But jada confidence हैगा होना चाहिए हैगा, but not turning into ego, arrogance. There's a fine line. So, and then I think Gurbani came into my life a little bit later. College gaya party kiti, all that, right? And then you discover life is more than party.
Party
right?
to poetry also. He became a poet as well.
party hoi, and then I'm like, there has to be more than that. And then Gurbani entered my life. I remember my English teacher, 12th grade. I had a 12th grade English teacher, I often give this example. I got an F. It doesn't mean fantastic, it means fail. In poetry.
Oh, really?
Poetry exam, 12th grade. You have to write a poetry. After 1 hour, I turned in a blank sheet. Mrs. Dinus was her name. And she said, Pritpal, I don't understand. You're such a good student. I said, I can't write poetry. And she's like, she looked at me, she's like, why? I'm like, I don't know poetry. But you know, she said something I never understood until much later in my life, which was, it's because nothing has touched you yet. And I go, huh?
Yeah,
Nothing has touched you yet. Meaning,
nothing
has,
wow.
You haven't fallen in love.
Wow.
And मैंने जो बेटा love किया. I'm in 12th grade. You know, not the Bollywood type or whatever, I don't know. Much later.
I just want to pause here 1 second. I want to bring in that example that I just shared with you at breakfast table. I think you absorbed your teacher's personality. What words she said to you, you did the same thing to me. So in 2001, I went to US and I was just 17 then. And he gifted me a book that I was very excited to have, which was called The Peaceful Warrior. And in that book, he takes 20 minutes to write something. I thought he's writing a long note of what is happening. And at the end of it, he's written 2 lines, which goes like this: may you find peace through struggle in life. And I'm like, what? Why would you wish for struggle for me, right? And you're telling me this, like as a 17-year-old, I was like, what kind of a message is this? And I looked at him and I'm like, okay. So yeah, you were Miss Alice for me, right? I understood your words much later in life.
You know, you said I took 20 minutes to write. I probably did because I was thinking, you know, you want to have meaningful relationships. You know, I could have written, you know, have a safe journey, you know, back home, you know, something like that. But if you put thought into it, if I think of you, Anika, as my sister, as my friend, somebody I care for, you can name it any relationship, then thought is a must. And what I thought of you was such a bright individual, want to accomplish so much, not for herself, but for uplifting those around you. And I thought the best way she could do that is to have the best experience, because it's through our struggles we grow the most. When you pass something barely, you don't remember much. But when you fail at something, or when you get something through lot of hard work, आपको पता होती है उसकी कीमत क्या है.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I understand it. 25 years later. And value that message.
Believe me,
Still.
my 12th grade teacher, I understood like, you know, pura, you know, college chala gaya. I understood it actually in my first year medical school, because that was the first time I fell in love.
Wow.
And it was with Gurbani. And that's what I'll use those tools in the presentation. So idea is, you know, if you can go to the next slide, please. So we'll talk about, you know, next slide. So we'll skip this, because this is more of this is like a formal presentation. Apna ta galbaatan kar rahe hain, right? So next slide after that. So here's one of my favorite Sikh authors, Professor Pritpal Singh. Can somebody read that? Anybody? Go ahead. Read it.
Yeah, please.
Guru Granth, love is not philosophical.
Not any philosophical abstraction. It is the
Incessant
intense breathing of the Spirit of God, and a life informed of universal sympathy. The red one I can't read.
Love
It's just not clear.
Love is fully passionate and has the color of
Ruby lips that quiver with naming Him. Guru Nanak is opposed to the analytical descriptions of the Great Spirit. Professor Pritpal Singh.
And in the red is another quote, right? So basically, Professor Pritpal Singh is saying that according to Gurbani, love is not, ये कोई falsafa नहीं है. It's not a script. जंतर मंतर नहीं है. समझे हो? कि let me tell you what love is, कान से आके, and now you know. Or you go to a class to learn what love is. That's not love. वो कहते abstract हैगा. Meaning it is vast. It is beyond boundaries. But he does say one thing. He says it is fully passionate. So a description of love da. You cannot capture love. ये चार दीवारी में कैद नहीं कर सकते. बहुत बॉलीवुड मूवीज देखी हैं आपने, right? It's something like that. जितना गला घोटोगे उतना ही निकलता है ऊपर से, right? So it's passionate. It has color, ruby lips, square with naming him. And Guru Nanak is opposed to the analytical description of the great spirit, meaning love nu analyze नहीं किया जा सकता, but one is able to experience love. And what message to you and I is, don't listen to anybody else, the love guru, this, that, whatever. If anything, try to experience it. That's what he's saying. He's saying a lot of other things, but we're simple kar rahe hain. So let's move to the next slide.
Of course, because it's practical. It's, yeah.
Read it again, please.
Yep.
I don't think anyone has written or simplified it this level.
Yeah.
It's so basic.
Very practical.
Go back to the previous slide, please. I mean, thank you. Love has hands and feet. I mean, idea is, he's talking about कि love jada na, it's not passive. It's action oriented.
Yeah.
Yes. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ 10th slide ਤੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ. Panji is way ahead of the game. So idea is, if you're in love, it demands behavior.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying, and that is what it is. It
Behavior.
demands action.
Action. Your behavior.
All right, next slide. So Professor Puran Singh, by the way, is he traveled a lot. You should look him up. He quotes Japanese culture a lot, Walt Whitman a lot, some American writers. He lived about 100 years ago. Okay, Puran Singh, great guy, spirit of the Sikh. It's amazing. So let's next slide, because we can't get through all the slides. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And in Guru Granth Sahib, there are a lot of names that are used. In English, we are talking in English, and we must recognize the shortcomings of this language.
Right.
So, sometimes I'm sorry to
No.
but there are times when I'm speaking to Anita or we're talking about Gurbani and I said, sometimes, some days, we're stuck with just the word need. Some days you're just stuck with praying. They both, although mean the same, but they dig deep inside, in the innermost recesses of your heart, in a very different way.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is, this language, it just look at it.
Yeah.
Hate, just navel, mohabbat. I mean, it's unbelievable. You got so much. Dig deep in. I mean, I'm so glad you made a slide like this, because this slide is like my regular talk with people. It's like, आज जो प्रीत ने जोड़े, आज मैंने प्रेम ने जोड़े, आज एक पुकार तो आगे नहीं बदलने सकता. I can't do the touchy today. It's like today it was therapy. मैं जो कि we've read this so many, but take for less, just met Job. That's it. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜੋਗਾ ਕਰਤਾ. And I just never could I go left, never could I move forward. It was just a pause. And then some days it was just Rahao. How did he come up with Rahao? How is it all possible? And it's just so beautiful. I'm so glad. I'm sorry. I just
निग्गा प्यार कितना मीठा वर्ड है निग्गा मतलब जहाँ निग्गी तुप होती है ना सेकंड बैठ रहे जी वो वाला प्यार निग्गा निग्गा मीन्स फ्रॉम हार्ट वाह निग्गा प्यार कितना प्यारा वर्ड है
Any other words that anyone connects with? Anybody else who wants to add to a word? Any word? इधर से या कहीं से भी, any language.
शब्द होता है ना मेल मेरे प्रीतमा जियो ओए होए प्रीतमा जियो कितना प्यारा प्रीतम है ना ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬਸ
Wow.
and tears coming start ਹੈ
Wow.
that is love
Beautiful. Anyone else wants to talk? Any word? Just words.
I have a simple saying. Love cannot be, it is very difficult to describe love. You cannot describe it. It is beyond boundaries. For you to understand love, I believe if anybody goes for it, he can write a full book on it. A full book on a single word can be written. Because the way it is being interpreted, it is being, you can say, we are bringing it into boundaries, whereas it cannot be brought into boundaries. Never. Never. It is beyond boundaries.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of your input, but especially yours, Panji, because that is the shortcoming of English language, and we're speaking in it. Because love word है ना, it's overused, misused, कह लो. But what can you do? Because the language itself, यही love word है. But when it comes to Gurbani, you mind if I stand up or walk around?
Yeah, sure.
So when it comes to Gurbani, you can see the words that are there are, like muhabbat. When you think of muhabbat, there are certain things that come to your mind. Dilo muhabbat jin sahi sachya. That's Sheikh Farid ji. And then it says, pyar. All of these words, there are certain emotions that come to you. Pao. Ne. And then sneh. And if you like, I don't want to get into the entomology, but in these words, if you put sassa, it adds a special meaning. And if you're so interested, I will encourage you to attend Sidak. It's a 2-week immersive program outside Vancouver, and the track is Gurbani 101. It is all about the language and the structure of Gurbani.
I've been coaxing Ini to get it to India.
Hanji, absolutely. And because Gurbani is not Punjabi, there are 9 different languages at least.
Yeah.
So we use these words. The slide is there because we use these words because there's certain emotion that comes with that. There's certain experiences we have in life. So these are the words that are used in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and these are the words that when we use, they imply a certain feeling, certain stage. Next slide, please. And this is from Japji Sahib. So people ask, what is love like? Mainu ki pata. But this is what Guru Nanak says. Maybe you'll believe Guru Nanak, I don't know. Guru Nanak Sahib Sacha Sahib Sach Nai Pakhya Pao Apar. That true is the sovereign, true is justice, and but look at the last part, Pakhya Pao Apar. So that means that the language jehdi hai na, of love is infinite. So the idea is, if you want to know what love is like, one feature you can deduce is the person who is in love, look at their language. बड़े प्यार दी language होगी. So ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚੋ, if you want to be in love, or if you want to be lovable, or you're striving towards love, Japji Sahib, according to Guru Nanak Padshah, is ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ language ਠੀਕ ਕਰੋ. We want to go to the goal very fast, but Guru Nanak Padshah is saying, let's start with the language.
But okay, if something happens and someone triggers, then we are like, that person triggered me to have this reaction. Okay, I'll give you a very short example of this. The other day I was driving and I had this new car, and I have to go to the service lane, and this truck guy comes and he hits my car. It's a standing car, and he hits my car and goes. And instead of going in the service lane, I follow him, and then I tell him to stop. And I want to be angry with him. I'm hurt. And I come out of the car to shout at him or get angry. And instead, the words that come out of my mouth, I was like, kya kar rahe ho aap? And I started crying. And I'm like, kya hai kiya aapne? And then he goes, he's like, aap meri beti ki tarah. He had tears in his eyes. And he's like, आप रो मत, मैं आपको रोते हुए नहीं देख सकता, मुझे मेरा नंबर लो, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम होगी मुझे बताना. And I'm like, what the hell, I can't even get angry with the truck guy and, tell him. But then that's when you realize that when you're in that feeling. But then there are also moments when you're like, somebody said something to you, and I'm speaking on everyone's behalf here. And how do you just respond from love all the time when you when you're feeling angry or irritated and somebody is not understanding you right, and you feel helpless and you want to prove a point? यही होता है ना घरों में, तो होती है situations, तो कैसे करें?
So imagine the first thing you said, if you'd gotten out of a car and you'd have yelled at him and given him the finger, or if you would have cussed out at him, how would he have reacted? You think it would have escalated the situation. So actually you have answered your own question.
Yeah.
The idea is, you cannot control what the other person is doing, but you can definitely control what you're doing. So
because they say that whatever you say trigger the emotions out of the other person.
yeah,
So you actually coming out and just saying those words and crying triggered those emotions back at you.
Yeah.
And it made it more of a positive experience than a negative experience. If you had gone out and shouted at him, those would have triggered more negativity.
No, but what if it's the other way around?
Yeah.
What if someone has shouted on you or misunderstood you and said things that are not true about you?
yeah,
Then what?
yeah.
What if I was the other person who had hit someone's car?
So again,
Good point.
we are trying to imagine from perspective of love, and we just established that there is not a script for love. Any boundaries nahi hundiyan. And so we'll try to get into this. I don't want to give you that this is the right example, this is the right response, because then I just did what I told you not to do. So a lot of time it's paradoxical, and it'll come up in the future slides.
Okay.
Because when you're in love, what you do, when you're doing, it usually doesn't make sense to the world. I'll give you an example. 1942 love story देखी है movie? मैं भी देखी है. I remember one dialogue. You know, the main character, he's in love. What's happening in 1942? World War II. What's happening in India? Quit British India movement. ਅੱਗ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ, ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ, this, that, ਦੰਗੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ, this, protest ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈਗਾ. But the main character is like, he doesn't care ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, he's just like, ਉਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ. And the question asked to him is like, भैया, यहाँ पे आग लगी हुई है, आपको प्यार आ रहा है. And I remember his response. His response was, अगर सबको प्यार हो जाए तो आग ही ना लगे.
फिर प्यार की आग लगे.
प्यार की आग कुछ और होती है. वो भी अपन गल करांगे.
Something come up in my mind. After hearing, he was asking a lot of what is love, and I don't know, suddenly one word came up in my mind, or two words came up, and I asked myself, what would you define love as? And I said, I would define it as magnetic attraction.
As a
Magnetic.
magnetic attraction.
लोहा है, magnet है. उसको पता नहीं वो चिपक जाता है, and nobody stops it, and nobody can define it. So for me, the word, I just now I realized after hearing him, hearing everything, I said it's 100%. Because you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're moving, you don't know what's happening, but it's happening. So I feel it can be towards God, it can be towards a book, it can be towards the color of a flower, it can be towards your child, your mother. But I feel it's a magnetic attraction, which is in you, because put in you, because through God, through those emotions He's put into you. But I feel it's a magnetic.
Wow, I think you become like a magnet as well.
Yes, you are.
You are the magnet.
You don't know what you can't really tell yourself it's right, wrong. You're going with the wrong guy. You're going with the right girl. No. It just happens. It's just there.
Right. Yeah.
True. Very good.
And sorry, I just remembered something again from this morning that you said. I think we had a great breakfast. So we were going around the house and we saw the Buddha, and he asked us this question. Why don't you ask everyone? Do you know why does Buddha have big ears? Have we noticed that symbolically the Buddha has big ears? And I have seen it so many times, but I never thought about it. And I think it's because Buddha listens more. Whether it's your inner voice or, like to people, whatever, he listens. And I think I'm again answering my own question here. I think in a situation where I'm on the other side and I've hit the car or someone, which also happened by the way once, I think to be able to surrender in that moment and to listen to whatever is being said, to truly listen to their anger, where is it coming from, and those kind of things, I think that can be a starting point, right? It may not be the answer, and it may not solve the issue in that moment. But again, we are contemplating together.
There is no one right response.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot of different things. The parties involved, the context, the situation. But the idea is, start with the language. Start with the language, okay? Let me cover a few slides, and then I think there's a very good conversation going on. Let's move to Q&A then, okay? Next slide, please. So, Gurbani also says, "Ek nahi aashiki, duje lage jaye." That again, किसने आशिकी देखी है? Movie.
हाँ, बहुत मूवी में देखी है।
अरे ओरिजिनल वन हमेशा बेस्ट होती है। I remember, केड़ा गाना सीगा? बस एक सनम चाहिए। The idea is, I'm making it funny, but this is what, Gurbani is saying. He's saying, what type of love is this? Ek nahi aashiki. What type of love is this? Duje lage jaye, which clings to duality. So if you want to translate the love experience into behavior, you can only have one master. You can only have one lover. Okay, दो नहीं हो सकते, because जरा partnership है ना, जरा submission हैगा, it is only with one. You can translate that into human relationship, You can translate that into your spiritual relationship. It's only with one. Because if you have more than one, there it's going to be duality. And then people ask, well, what is a lover? How do I know what is a lover? Well, I typically learn to Gurbani for everything. And the definition of lover is the second line. Nanak ashak kandiya sadhi rahe samaye. That Nanak, the one who's always immersed, ohi lover. So the idea is, if you want to find that lover in your life, some person who always digs you, meaning even when you're having your worst day, that person is there for you. You know, even when you've made a mistake, you feel comfortable enough going to that person. If you're never going to go to a person is harsh on you, who's yelling at you. That's why I covered the language portion first.
Yeah.
मारन की तो गल बहुत दूर दी है, वो तो abuse हो गया. But language ही कर लो, right? So the idea is, this is what I feel is ashiki or love keh lo, in a human relationship which, whether it's with soul partner, life partner, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with your parenting, you always have to be immersed in it. Without immersion, you're not going to develop closeness. It's going to be a label, right? People can live together. It doesn't mean they're happy. You can be married, but it doesn't mean you're happily married. But if you want to love, if you want to be passionate, hands, lips, all these things, then immersion chahiye. Next slide. So, and then this line is used in a very different context. It's by Guru Nanak. It says, Jauto prem khelan ka chao, sir tar tali gali beri aao. That means, if you want to play this game of love, this path requires you to put your head on your hand. Meaning, if you believe in love, if you want to walk on the path of love, you must be willing to do anything. Because you don't know what love is going to require. When you submit to somebody, you don't know what's going to happen next year. You don't know. When I married my wife, when I got engaged to her, she said, day after she graduated college, I thought I was marrying a person who's going to be sitting in front of a computer and, IT, sell, bricks, itanu. But anyways, but she tells me over a coffee, I hate what I study. Because her passion is flying. And I'm like, theek hai, fir kar la, fly karo. So the idea is, I did not know, like I'm a doctor, the way I was raised was, tu doctor haan, kar wife aaugi, every night you'll be coming late, she'll be making garam rotiyan, and I'll be like, theek hai, aaj ta pindi khaan nu ji karda. Baby, can you make me pindi? I'll be home in 20 minutes. No. That's not how humankind das rahe hain. On a human level, that's not how love works. The idea is, if you're going to be immersed, if you're submitting, and in human, I'm only focusing on one aspect because we are very familiar, or at least we think we are very familiar with marriage. Is this that you must be willing to change. You don't know what's going to happen. And it marak pair tarije sir dije kaan natije. That means if you walk on this path and going to walk on it, don't have any doubts. There will be questions. There is going to be, like when you have told me when you're flying,
A lot of time it's all messed up and stormy, but you said you have to trust your instruments. Yeah. I have no idea where she's gone 4 days a week, but I trust her.
So, MA, you have to have faith in your, if you want to transcribe this to spiritual love, you have to have faith in who you believe in or what you believe in. There will be hard times, but you must be willing to do whatever it takes. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Next slide. Okay, this is what we're talking about. The shades of love. Love is, it's proactive. Who is not married or single? Who's single right now? Raise your hand. Yeah, well, I like that. I like that. Let me ask you. If you like somebody, what will you do? What will you do about your feeling?
I'll probably tell them that I like you and I want to go out with you.
Very nice. Who else raised? You raise your hand. What will you do if you like somebody? If you think you like somebody? Express your feelings. Very nice. Express karo and go with the flow. Who said? Hanji, what will you do?
I don't think I'll express first. For sure not. But I think I would love to spend time. Time, more and more time where it develops over a period and we get comfortable. It's important to understand. See, a lot of times there is attraction which happens. You like people at first glance, but it is important that somewhere people have to connect at the same level. One thing when we are talking about love is, and people take a lot of pride, which I have felt differently in life, is people say that jealousy is a form of love, but I think it is a very negative connotation, and jealousy in no way is a form of love. Love and possessiveness are very different, and things like insecurity, possessing, and attachment are things which actually take away love from you. But we're trying to dictate, as you said, you have to have trust. Love is about feeling happy for the happiness of the other person and what he or she means happy. As you said, that if she was not happy, you wouldn't have been happy. And just trying to get a wife who could cook garam roti for you would not probably have made her happy.
Very good. Jealousy is not love,
Yes,
but
beautiful.
definitely not love, but quality time. You want to spend time with them. Who else raised your hand who is single here? Tosinho, what would you do if you have a feeling, you think you might like somebody?
I probably would want to spend some more time with her. I would want to know her more. And I'd probably want to spend some more time with her, get to know her, and let's see what happens then.
Go with the flow.
Spend time, get to know her. Let's see. Anybody else who raised their hand?
Kids.
Oh, kids. They're my kids. They're not going to share with me. You can ask them later. They're not going to share on it. But idea is, let's say you like somebody. You might look at them and you say, man, that person is so nice. A week will go by, you'll be like, that person is so nice. A month will go by, will you still say that person is nice? Or will you actually try to do something? If you like somebody, you're going to look their Instagram handle. Let me see what type of person this is. Before Instagram, you might tell your friend, uska pata kara kuch. If you really get serious, you might tell mummy, uski mummy se baat karo. What I'm getting at is, look at the first thing, proactively engages. Love jeda na, oh wait nahi karda kise di. If you just keep it to yourself, that is probably not love. It means it may be an intense feeling, it may be a phase, but love is always, somebody is always immersed. So these are shades. It doesn't mean this is the only thing and there's nothing else. Love proactively engages. They don't wait. You know, you can look at, you can hide these things. Integrates diversity. If somebody is in love, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care the roots.
Yeah. Who cares? Who cares? They don't, we can look at on a spiritual level. Huh? We can look at spiritual level. Second Guru, before he became a Sikh, he didn't care. He never met Guru Nanak, Guru Angad Dev Ji. He just heard the Bani and he was impressed. Now I want to meet. Have you looked at from that perspective, love? Have you looked at from that perspective, the spiritual love? We are focused on this. Guru Angad, before he became, forget the Guru, even before he became a Sikh, he was the Buddha concept. He was listening. These are shades of love. Spiritual love. And harmonizes paradoxes. What that means is, when you understood that my 1942 example, love story that when you're in love, you do things the world won't understand. But who cares? They don't need to, because they're not in your shoes. So next slide, please. But basically what happens is when you believe in love, especially what Gurbani says from the spiritual angle, you believe in this oneness, that everything is Ekko Ankar. If everything is Ekko Ankar, that means there is no other. You know what? Let's do this exercise. Everybody close your eyes. Close your eyes for 30 seconds and imagine the person who gets on your nerves the most. The person you hate. The person who brings out the worst in you. Yeah. When you know, open your eyes. That way I know. If it's not the person, the idea keh lo. Yeah? It's not such a pleasant exercise, is it? It's not. मैं बहुत exercise करता हूँ इधर. Because
अच्छा बोल देते आंखें बंद कर देते तो
आंखें बंद करो ना थोड़ा stimulation कम हो जाता है. The idea is that person is part of Ekko Ankar, meaning they're part of the divine. So if you feel that person is also divine, and if you feel unna vich bhi Rabb vasda, then the way you interact with them will change. It's no longer them. I learned this. I paid $1,000 one day and I went to a corporate, leadership meeting, and what I learned for those 6 hours, you can convert to rupees. Don't use the word them.
Wow.
Them. It's other part of us.
What word do you use? Sorry.
Other part of us.
Okay.
Like the part that's far.
Wow.
So the idea is, if there is no other, if everything is Ekko Ankar, the point is the way you deal with that person will change. You will deal with sensitivity. The person जो थोनू पता या झूठ बोलदा, jealousy, this, that, even with them you'll approach guarded, with your shields up, but without hatred, without anger. That is Ekko Ankar in practicality terms, where creator and creation are one. Okay, there is no difference in creator and creation. And if you believe that, then you believe there is no, tolerance for racism. There is no space for sexism. And you'll fight for everybody's rights, social rights, economic rights, political rights, because that's Ekko Ankar, right? If you're in a privileged condition, you will realize where you're at and will try to uplift. it's, I'm so glad you asked that question. Maybe we can do something else. That question was asked to Guru Nanak.
You're not able to choose sides.
She's saying you're not able to choose sides. You know Asa ki War, that Bani? Yeah, it's a Bani where he was asked that question by the 8th or 9th descendant of Sheikh Farid ji, sitting outside Pak Patan, which is now in Pakistan. Can there be a war where there is just one side? Because war is usually war is a ballad, political ballad, where there are two sides, usually two big armies against each other. And he said, yes, it's Asa ki War, because everything is one. So it is not about choosing sides. It is actually, there is only one side. We just have to be able to distinguish what side are we on, the right side, and that is side of creation and creator are one. It's a very complicated topic. We'll save it for another day. But the idea here is, if it's Ikonkar, then you should feel very comfortable with rejecting ideas which are of hate, inequality. Next slide.
Okay, one second. My friends here, they have another commitment and they have to go, both of them.
Okay.
So would you like to share something before you go? Like whatever you've heard, to just get your reflections, which we were going to do in the end, but anything that you'd like to add to what we are talking.
बहुत ज़्यादा तो नहीं, लेकिन एक चीज़ कहना चाहूँगी कि बहुत दिन से किसी कन्फ्यूजन में थी प्यार को लेके या बहुत सारी चीज़ रिलेशनशिप्स तो लेके या मतलब जो भी है, बट हाँ बहुत चीज़ें क्लियर हो गई आज माइंड में. सूर्या आंटी के साथ बहुत सारी बातें करी तो उससे कुछ क्लियर हुआ है और अभी और भी ज़्यादा हुआ. तो थैंक यू सो मच सर.
Your takeaway, anything your takeaway from
चीज़ बड़ी अच्छी लगी जो बोला गया कि आगे वाला क्या बोल रहा है, क्या कह रहा है, उसको ध्यान में ना रखो तो ज़्यादा अच्छा, क्योंकि आपको ही तकलीफ होगी. आप क्या कर रहे हो और आपको क्या करना है, वो ज़्यादा मायने करती. आई थिंक ये बहुत बड़ा, आई थिंक बहुत अच्छी चीज़ थी आज मेरे लिए सीख के. थैंक यू सो मच.
Neha, your takeaway, because you know what happens is when we go back to our house and we don't process this, that's why this exercise is very important, and I would like each of you to think of what your takeaway is. So it's not just recording your takeaway right now, it's for you to also process what you've heard and to be able to share that, because फिर हम busy हो जाएंगे यहाँ से निकलते सार.
Power of language is something one language, one emotion triggers action and reaction. So on the other side, if somebody else thinks that how you can change their reactions by your language.
Right. Wow. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Sorry.
Thank you. It's her parents-in-law's 50th anniversary, so I can't stop her from
You
that.
should go then.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you
for joining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Okay. Bye.
I'm going to wrap this up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we can have an open Q&A. So this next slide is actually not from Guru Granth Sahib, it's from Bhai Gurdas War. Bhai Gurdas in Sikh history is our original scholar. He is the original scribe of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And he has this one hymn. He actually, because we are most familiar with the lovers, he goes, Laila Majnu Ashiki Cha Chakki Jati. So he's talking about Laila Majnu, he's talking about, look at the English translation, he's talking about Sassi Pannu, Soni Mehwal, Ranja Heer. So exactly. So he's saying, because we are more familiar with that, they may not be factual, but they're the legends of Punjab, so they legends don't have to be factually correct, but they live in people's minds. So he's utilizing that, he's saying, look at that these lovers, everybody knows them. And he says, Sassi Pannu, they were different caste, it didn't matter to them. Look at Soni, she used to Remember we talked about action oriented? Sony used to, he says, she used to swim Chenab river to meet Mahiwal. So love jeda na, oh action oriented hai. So I want, and then he says at the last line, he switches gears and says spiritual love. He says, Pir murida per hadi gavan parvati, that those who are really connected with the Creator Kaur, they are immersed, especially in the morning hours. So next slide. So this is what you were talking about. Love can be used as a noun, but also a verb. So if you want to bring love into your life, make it a verb. So if you say, I love you, I mean, if I were to say, Arpinder, I love you, she'd be like, mainu ki fark penda. But what can I do for you, or let me do this for you, I think odi jyada appreciation hogi. So this is how love goes from passive noun to action-oriented verb. Idea, if you care about Punjab, you say, Punjab da bada mara haal hai, Punjab da bada mahal mara. Well, do something about it. Pick anything. Example, like adopt a village, kuch kar lo, right? So the idea, and then declaration. Mother's Day, which na? Have you ever seen social media on Mother's Day? I love my mom. Picture pa denge, I love my mom. What about the other 364 days a year? Oh, maa nu koi puchda hi nahi. I have seen people who don't even interact with their mom put up the picture of their mom. You know, so idea is, jehda love honda na, it is not about declaration. Uchi bolan naal nahi pyar honda. Love is about commitment. So if you, whether it's an individual, whether it's an idea, a principle, it demands time. You know how some of you said, I would like to get to know a person, spend time with them, get to know them. So love. If you believe in something, give them time. Give them your intellect. And obviously your resources, right? Your money. Next slide. This is Veer Singh. He lived about 100 years ago, and he pretty much sums it all. He says, Seene khich jinane khadi o kar aram nahi bende. That basically the ones who got touched with love, they are not the one to live in comfort. They will climb mountains, they will rock the boat, they will steer the water. Oh, they don't care. They don't care. You guys know, have you heard of Bhagat Ramanand? Who has heard of Bhagat Ramanand? You need to. He has a Shabad in Gurbani. Very privileged. It's one of the 6 top schools of thoughts. Today he would be like a chancellor of, if he were today, he would be like a chancellor of Divinity School of Harvard. IIT da jehda hai na section in India of Divinity School, he would be like its top head. I'm giving you today's vocabulary. That's Bhagat Ramanand. Privileged. He didn't have to do anything. Well settled, parent, grandparent, wife, spiritual head, nothing, but he felt something. He felt love, and he converted his love into verb. And what did he do? He started teaching to non-Brahmins, to the underprivileged. And because of that, he got kicked out. So, pyar, it's very clear. Je tusi pyar karna chhattar pehne ne. Guru Nanak Pasha ne bhi ekya aega. So, if you're going to love, develop thick skin. Okay? Because he was excommunicated, but he didn't care. By the way, he also had 2 women students, if you're wondering. Imagine that. So the idea behind this quote is, day and night, like the love-struck eyes in trance, they are operating on different level. Next slide. Oh, some of us are more mathematically inclined. So usually I quiz this, but On x-axis is your ability to change, and y-axis is love. So usually I ask people, plot yourself, but the answer is right there. Your ability to change will determine your ability to love. If you're not able to change yourself, I'm sorry. Then your possibility of love is very small. But if you change yourself, and look at even Sikhi, Guru Amar Das Padshah, he became Sikh in his 60s. मैं अपनी माँ नूं कहना, मेरी माँ कहनी मेरे तो नहीं होंदा, मैं कहा बस करो, get inspiration from the third Guru. So if you want to love, you must be willing to change, because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. You must be, the key is willing to change, because you don't know what love will demand tomorrow. Next slide. So I think I covered this, because if the attitude changes, in spirituality you want to be about direct access. That's what Bhagat Ramanand did, right? Politically, equal representation. You capture power and give it to commoners. That's what Banda Bahadur did. Banda Singh Bahadur, yeah? That's why the farmers rule in Punjab today. You know why? Because he disrupted the economic system. Before, he said, if you work on the land, you were slaves of the land. You got paid very little. And he overnight he switched. He said, nope, if you work on the land belongs to you. That's why farmers rule Punjab. By the way, he did not belong to a farming family. He was Banda Singh Bahadur. He was not even a Punjabi, but he was in love. He was in love with the Guru, and Guru said, end inequality in Punjab. We often think about political inequality. He ended economical inequality. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਾ, they don't think I'll do it for my family, for my caste, for my village, for my area. No, they do it universally.
Yeah, it makes you expanded love. Yeah.
Exactly. Socially, I mean, give dignity to everybody. I don't have to tell you all these things. You know, economically, we talked about it. Next slide. And I think this is it. Oh, these are like Guru Nanak. You know, when he was asked about it, you know, Janu Pao and all that, he's like, well, why? This is going to bring you closer to, you know, Ek Onkar. And he was like, really? Why does this happen? He's like, oh, you're old. He's like, you know, my sister is 5 years older than me. Shouldn't she be doing this?
Yeah, so we question traditions.
Yes.
Right?
Idea is, don't blindly follow something, make it meaningful. Just like ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਦੇ ਆ. If you are, the idea about matha tekna is that you are higher power, the idea you have is much greater than me, so I submit to you. But if you do matha take and give her, you know, ek rupaya, you know, and then you carry on with your same thought process, you have not given your matha. You have not changed your thought process. So idea is submission jada na, it's of thought. So next slide. Guru Har Gobind and Pande Khan. So they're a bunch, but you know, this is the sixth Guru. He raised this guy who turned against him. He got lured by the Mughals. They promoted him to be a general. He came and attacked the Guru. They met on the battlefield. Guru said, okay, you can have the first shot, because you know that's how the tradition was. He missed. Guru said, you can have another shot. He missed again. And then Guru said, you can have another third shot. He missed again. And then Guru Har Gobind did one shot and he died. And as he's dying, Guru Har Gobind takes his head on his lap and shields him from the sun and says, you're about to die. You should do your last prayers, because as a Muslim, if you're given the opportunity, you should kalam padni chahidi hagi. And his response to the Guru was, your samshir, your sword, your kirpan is my kalam, my prayer. You know, that's his reconciliation with the Guru. Next slide. This is Bibi Balbir Kaur in Quit India movement in Gurdwara. You know, it was all me. She said, I want to go. And they said, I don't think so. You're a woman. And plus, you got a baby. You got to take care of the baby. And she was like, nope, I want to go. And she did. She led other women also and men. And then she was successful in the protest. Next slide. Anyways, I think these are all things that we discussed. So personally, with love, introspection is very important. I like to leave you with that. Introspection is, you comment on that, it's very important. Take time. We are very busy in daily life. We're very busy. Point A, point B, point C. Introspection, take some out for introspection. Otherwise, सारी सिरदर्दी थोड़ी आना, bills, बच्चे, community चली जाओगी. Family, and in family, a lot of time I get, my kids are sitting there, I get mad at them because I have high expectations, but my wife reminds me, treat them as fellow travelers. Help them achieve their potential. Just because you're a great speaker doesn't mean they will be. Let them be. They don't need another Pritpal Singh.
Right.
We need Insaf Singh and we need Jeevat Singh. Right?
Yeah.
So family members, help them in their journey. Travel a journey with them. Don't make them what you want to be, what you want it to be. Community, I gather to move, work towards a goal. Even if you disagree, Sangat ka matlab hai hai. Sang means getting together and Gat means movement. So if you are getting together and not moving anywhere, I am sorry. You are just Sang, not Gat.
Wow.
ठीक है जी, I'm giving you entomology. ਆਪਾਂ ਸੰਗ ਬੜਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ.
Forward, yeah.
We party, but we don't move towards any goal. Make any goal, spiritual goal, social goal, you choose. But gut zarur karna, and then change policies. Next slide. And that's it. Guru Sahib says, oh my mind, oh my mother, my mind is in love. And when you're in love, you say, that is my creed, that is my deed, that is my daily feed. Pyari sab kuch mera haiga, and I identify with, the Ikko Ankar. Nobody else. He didn't say I identify with my father. He didn't say I identify with my caste. He didn't say I identify with my profession. He said I identify with Ikko Ankar. And with that, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And like we're talking, I love that part about Sangat. I had never broken the word like that. So yeah, we get together a lot of times, but we don't move forward. And I, at this point, want to say how privileged I feel to have a Sangat in all of you. And we have a very dear friend here, Karan, who's here from the One India media team, the Daily Hunt news aggregator. So he's come here as supporting us every time, and thank you for believing in the vision. And I feel like we're moving forward somewhere with you. And also a lot of volunteers today. I know this should have been at the end, but I'm taking forward from there because it's not possible to move forward, when you, if you don't have a Sangat. Like if you're not Sun, so Sun is the first step. And then the gut happens as well. And the gut happens when you have a vision. So the voice team, Kapil, Suraj, Roshan, my parents who've been so incredible all the time, supporting, really standing there with me in everything. And my auntie, Renu auntie and uncle I've already thanked. And we also have a new volunteer here, Gurmarg. Thank you so much for coming as well. Japneet Sana not here, they've been incredible as well, Jasleen and Nikamasi and Auntie Rati auntie as well, who helped in the menu today, which you'll be all having later. So thank you. And Taran, you've been a soul sister. I bounce off ideas with you, and you in every part. So thank you for being there in my life. Yeah. So everybody, thanks a lot. And I think, like I said to Neha and to Swarna, let's take some moments right now, because if you're going to go away from here without processing what you heard, then you're just going to go get busy and you're going to forget about the session and what you learned here. So please, let's take this time right now everyone in the room some reflection from everybody. Reflection, question. Please go back taking away something from here today. That's the goal of the session. So, and especially people who haven't spoken, anybody who wants to start, I'm looking towards you. Why don't you? And Chetan, yeah. So Sharika, introduce yourself. We've not had an introduction session before, but introduce yourself however you like to us to remember you. Yeah.
I'm Sharika and an entrepreneur Brimco. So it's about love. In my according, love is an emotion. And if you love something or somebody or with a heart, you just surrender yourself. Either that's it. Just surrender and just feel the emotion and feel like samundar. Just go with the flow. It's not a go with the flow, it's a word. It's a flow. Just to feel emotions, that's it.
And I think something about going with the flow, I had written a poem about this, and Arvinder uncle, I remember chatting with you in Pahalgam about this, where you said, how do you always go with the flow, about life? And then I went to the river, and I was like, I don't have an answer for what conversation we had. And I went and listened to the river, and I asked this question, how do you go with the flow? And then I realized that when you are in your oneness, then you can go with the flow. If you're not in your oneness and you've not aligned yourself and you've not aligned your energies, yeah, exactly. You are the flow. You are the flow. Then you're not going, absolutely. Right. Beautiful. Thank you. Value addition. Chetan, do you want to add something there?
Sure. Hi, I'm Chip. I run a business here in Delhi and Dubai, and so it's been a great session. Thank you so much for giving us all your inputs, and there's so much. I think it's just very hard to put it to like this is something that we could talk about for, let's say, hours and days and weeks, and it's very hard to like sum it up in 2 minutes. But I would say that everything, like love is such an important portion of everything. Whether it is leading, you talk a little bit about leading with love, or the language bit, because everything is language. How we talk, how we communicate, and that changes everything. So it's about being aware, and being conscious. And that's kind of again what you said toward the end, that introspect. So these are all things that it's sort of like a something that you need to hear, not like once in 3 months or once in a month, or it's something that you need on a daily basis, because the battle is you need to show the love, not here, but you need to show the love when you're out, when you're living your actual life. In those moments, you have to be mindful of your language, of your communication, and the fact that whatever you're saying is you're saying to yourself, because it's Asadivar, I think that's what you were trying to say in that as well. He is also you, and you're in duality. You're also him. So I try to say what I learned, and I think I'm going a little bit all over the place. But it's something that you need every day, every moment. You need 5 to 10 minutes of this every day before you begin your day, to actually go on and be able to do it.
Wow.
So that's what I thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ethan, and for reminding us that. What was that line? That he's an extension of me? That leadership course where you spend $1,000?
It was not, don't use the word them. It's the other version of us.
Yeah.
Other version of us. The other part of us.
Right.
Other part of us. And what you said about 5 to 10 minutes a day, I think it's a very good thing if you do this in the morning and remind yourself कि सारा एको अंकार है ना, and you're going to embody एको अंकार in context of love. You'll be amazed how different your day will be, at least the morning. You'll be amazed because your response will probably send a reaction to a different person who would that would make them think, and it will be a chain reaction for others. And maybe that's why Jabdi Saab the line bhi sigi, you know, in the mornings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Vishesh, do you want to say something? You can keep sitting as you like.
You just pass it on.
Yeah. And Vishesh is a great poet. So if you want to come back with your poetry, we are okay with that also. Okay, so Vishesh is asking a question. He's saying that he tries to change, but he's not able to do that. So he's asking this to both of you. You know, how can he practice that better? How does he change? He's not able to. Would you say the same thing? You're not in love yet?
Do you want to respond or should I?
Go ahead.
Well, your question is, you're having a difficult time, but you're not able to break the pattern. Pattern of what? You're stuck in self-reflection. And what do you want to go towards? Okay. How do you change yourself? That's really the question. So the thing is, if you really want to change yourself and you're not having any success, one needs to see what is the roadblock. Okay. So sometimes roadblocks are not evident, because if you're over sort of thinking something, this is a time to actually talk to a person who you trust. You get to choose, because some things may be hidden from you. Okay? That's my first advice. Second would be, don't give up. Because I think, at least I can tell you from one of the darkest times in my life, or darkest as in most difficult times, when you're going through very, very difficult times and it keeps on like you're stuck, not getting anywhere, one has tendency to regress to your core. The core which there are not multiple things, there are very few things, it's your core. And what I realized is my perspective changed. It was, why is this happening to me? What did I do? I've tried this everything. मैं किसी का कुछ नहीं बिगाड़िया. Why does this keep happening to me? But for some reason, a thought came into my mind, you know what? I still have two hands. I have 2 feet. I can still see. I can still walk. So, नज़रिया बदलना जड़ा बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. And that's when poetry started to come out of me.
Yes.
And it came out so much, I could not stop. It was overflowing. So I think answer is twofold. One is externally you choose a person, maybe you may have a blind spot, who you trust. Second is change your perspective. Because have you seen that? Ajgar dekha hai, Ajgar? It has sharp teeth, they're backwards. I saw this guy who was trying to pull it out and it got stuck. So he kept doing this to get it out. But the teeth get sinking more and more in his arm. And he tried again and again, got stuck. When instantly he did this. And then he got loose. So sometimes you might want to try opposite things.
That's a beautiful example, yeah. Okay, at the back, do people want to come in the front? You can.
Oh, no,
Okay. Okay, Auntie, do you want to come in the front?
Thank you very much, Ji. It was very enlightening to hear you use Oxyki and Josie Guru Granth Sahib the quotes ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਜੇ ਸਮ ਅਪ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਜਿਨ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਕੀਆ ਦਿਨ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਪਾਇਓ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਅਦਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਲਵ
Yeah.
ਐਂਡ
ਇਹ ਸੁੱਖਾਂ ਤੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਰੈਂਡਸ ਨੇ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਲਟਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਤਾ ਐਵਰੀਬਾਡੀ ਕਾਂਟ ਬੀ ਮਾਈ ਫਰੈਂਡ ਉਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰੀਤਮ ਕੀ ਜੋ ਬਾਤ ਸੁਣਾਇਆ ਬਸ ਉਹ ਭਾਈ ਉਹ ਮੇਰਾ ਮੀਤ ਹੈ So the story of love is with Baba Ji. मेरे हर प्रीतम की जो बात सुनाए वो ये मेरा भरा वो ये मेरा friend.
Wow, that's a beautiful definition of a friend. Who would like to? Tabit, you come here. Okay.
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ
Yeah, thank you for being very direct. हाँ, अगर आगे आ जाओ please. हाँ.
I'm Tabneet Singh Sethi. I put up in Panjalu Baba. I'm Anika's little brother.
Yes.
So, I have a question. I have written this. Thank you for the session, and I really enjoyed it. It's my first time over here. And so the question is that in personal relationships, I've noticed that when my intentions are rooted in love and security, things tend to resolve naturally. But when we go into the corporate world or the corporate relationships, this does not even hold true to me always. There are relationships when they're trying to get the work done, or to get the work done through someone. You can't be in love all the time. What I have experienced in personal relationships, I have understood that when my intentions are pure, when I have good intentions towards someone, things tend to flow naturally in a right way. But in corporate world, they don't have any emotional connection with us. They're here to earn their bread, not with all the employees, but somewhere when some people who try to were not much emotional towards the company, or they do not love us the way we want them to love the company. And even anger or pressurizing them sometimes does not work always. How do we stay in a state of love in that environment and still remain very much respected and effective in that?
Wow, that's a beautiful question, Bhabhi. Why don't you take that?
Yeah, it's a very heavy one. Personally, I've had to deal with a lot of that. You know, in relationships, a lot of the times, like you said, we're able to, you know, with our intentions, good intentions, we're able to get along and get things done. But in corporate world, or in any of our professional world, it gets harder because you don't have any control. So, you know, at that moment, I feel like you have to be grounded in what you believe in. You have to continue doing what you feel will bring the best outcome, regardless of the others are doing or the others are saying. So for example, when I initially started flying as a first officer, like I said earlier too, that captain has the authority of kind of managing the flight deck. So, you know, I didn't have much control over what he or she, mostly he, is going to kind of, how he's going to behave with myself. And in that, I didn't take that as a negative thing. I took that as a positive and kind of telling myself that, okay, I need to make sure I'm doing everything more than 100%. So it's not that he does not get an opportunity to question my abilities. So you just take it upon yourself to stay grounded and keep doing and having faith in who you are.
I've tried to handle things with love all the time. Things have worked, but in some cases, when I show too much love to people,
You feel you're taking advantage.
they tend to take the advantage of that, and generally things don't, in a wider perspective or in a long term, things don't tend to fall in the correct place. They generally leave. This is the thing I'm not able to figure out.
Yeah, of course, of course. You know, what I'm understanding from what you are saying is, this Shukru has set your expectations. You are expecting that the other person should react in that way as you want it.
Yeah.
If you don't set your expectations, okay, you know, you say, okay, I have done this, that person should react. So you are trying to control his reaction. Why are you wanting his reaction to be exactly as you want it? Reaction, you can only guide and have power over your own. Let's say it's एक नदी का एग्जाम्पल लो, वो पहाड़ से चल रही है, अब उसको समुद्र में मिलना है, अब वो चल रही है, she is going to go with the flow. That tiny rivers go to go with the flow. She sometimes moves rocks, sometimes she has to change her way when the tree comes in the way, and she may or may not meet with the ocean, but ultimate gain is to meet with the ocean. Your ultimate gain is might to become the CEO of the company, whatever it may. When you go through all that, that's your journey. You have to take that as your journey and you have to work on it. You have to work only on yourself. You cannot work on another person. It is not possible.
Can I add to that? Just to add to that, because as an entrepreneur, even I have those, those कहते हैं ना जो डरता है वो करता है type. Sometimes you feel like the fear energy can work better for you, and love is a longer path. But I feel like in a very practical way, in terms of giving out tools, I feel streamlining processes helps. Having a discussion with people about the values of the company and your individual values and aligning those help. The conversation is on a grander scale then you're not like kind of talking about day-to-day things. It's just like, we just don't do this. We just don't we don't talk to our customers like that, because that's who we are. That's our company value. Like for example, for us at Voice, we have this whole charter where we've written down what our values are, and we constantly visit those values. So one of the values that we have is celebration. So we celebrate ideas. So if we are talking as a team and someone gives an idea, we cannot say to them this is stupid, because we celebrate ideas, because that's who we are. So it helps. Then we have a value of time. So we revisited this value just a few months ago. We used to say we value your time and my time. Then we are like, no, this doesn't make sense anymore to us. So we are like, we minimize the time between idea and action. So that's our value. So when I am working with Suraj and with Kapil and we have a project, we've already defined that we minimize the time between idea to action. So then there's no stress about overworking and all that, because that's who we are. So it comes down to, I always say this, my spiritual grounding is helping me to become a better business person as well. Because I take my spiritual practices, the work I do on myself, onto my business. And the more I do those things, the more I'm able to define who I am, the better I'm able to define what my company is, and the better I'm able to be a magnet for other people to sense the vibration of the work that we do. I'm not even going out and telling people what voice is. I'm not even marketing, the work that we do, the films that we make. It's literally, Tarun is a witness to that, and a lot of people, it's literally coming to us because you have raised your vibration to a certain level.
His main focus, what I observe, was that when he is following the path of love in a family, it is working. When he's doing that in the corporate world, it's not working. Because the family, the action and reaction is in there. There's a bonding, there's this thing. With those people, you don't have any bonding. You're just forming a thing and you may not continue with them in the future. So you cannot expect from them that kind of reaction, what you're expecting from your family. And first of all, only remember one thing, if you have love in your heart, love yourself more than anybody, I'm telling you, believe me, you. And I say this, because if you have love in your heart, then only you can give it to others. What you don't have, if I just tell you, give me 1 lakh rupees just now, can you give me? No, because they're not there in your pocket. So you can only give, I probably say 10 rupees, you'll say, okay, auntie, take it. So you can only give what you have. So first create it inside you, create that love inside you, give that love, let it spread, it will come back.
And with that, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is, Anika, you've done a great job, and of course you're getting people's mind thinking, and of course getting out the best in them. That's not music.
Thank you. Great. Over to you, Karan.
मैं तो actually
Your takeaway.
कोई शब्द नहीं है मेरे ਕੋਲ ਉਹ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਟਾਰ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਸ਼ਬਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਬਟ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਕਾਲੇ ਮੈਂਡੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਕਾਲਾ ਮੈਟਾ ਵੇਸ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਭਰਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਾਂ ਲੋਕ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਰਵੇਸ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਨਸਰਸ ਵੀ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਛ ਹੈ for you I will say because it's for me it's been 22 years in this city ਮੇਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬੜਾ ਟਫ ਸੀ ਚੰਡੀਗੜ੍ਹ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੈ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਬਟ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਉਹੀ ਬਾਬੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸਿੱਟਾ ਹੈ ਉਹੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਕਿਰਤ ਕਰੋ ਉਹ ਐਸੀ ਕਮਾਲ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ 22 ਸਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਹੰਢਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਉਹ ਕਿਰਤੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਦੇ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਉੱਠ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਵੇਸ਼ ਪਾਣੇ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਆਓ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸਭ ਉੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਹੋਰ ਇੱਕ ਅੱਗੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਚੱਲਾਂਗੇ ਬਟ ਕਾਰਪੋਰੇਟ ਕਲਚਰਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੜਾ ਅੱਛੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਐਵੇਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਉਹਦੀ ਬਜਾਏ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ
You can always give a gift to a person but never expect what return gift is not gifting. That's the surprise.
In fact ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ 30 ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਆਈਸ ਬੰਦ ਕਰੋ ਫॉर 1 ਸਟਾਰਸ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਬਟ ਐਂਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਡੇ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹੀ ਯਾਦ ਆਇਆ ਵੀ ਵਾਈ ਸ਼ੀ ਹੈਜ਼ ਕਾਲਡ ਮੀ ਹੇਅਰ ਇਟਸ ਆਲ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਲਵ ਓਨਲੀ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਥੈਂਕਸ ਟੂ ਯੂ ਐਂਡ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸਰ ਫॉर गिविंग अस दिस ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਐਕਸਲੈਂਟ
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all of you.
Yes.
Anybody else wants to? Yeah, why don't Insaf and Jeevat, why don't you share something? Your takeaways from the session as a participant as well.
Yes.
Please come, please sit here. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Insaf Singh. I'm their son. What can I say? I will say one thing though, because this whole thing is about love, and they were talking about especially it being really active. You know, you have to act upon it, and like he said, like like 5 minutes in the morning, or think about something, or just whenever you love somebody, you have to act on it. I feel like one thing to remember is obviously like it'll come to you with like full embrace whatever, like let's say you see somebody for the first time or you see something you're interested in the first time, but even then whenever you're going through rough patches or something, in that area, I feel like you still need to have that passion, and you need to have the activeness of, keep on doing something. Like, let's say it's been a month and you're in a relationship with somebody, I feel like you still need to have that full force, that full passion you had maybe in the beginning. And I think it should stay at a constant tempo instead of going down, because it's not like something like passive where you can just sit back and relax. I think it's something you have to actively participate in.
Wow. And he's only 18. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Like, yeah.
Hi, my name is Divat Singh. I'm only 15 years old, so I don't know that much about love, but I do know that love comes in your family too. We talked about the Buddha, about the ears listening, but I also, since I'm more of a listener, not a speaker, I think primarily love is shown through actions as well. Actions are very important. They show that care. If you're only listening, it shows you're listening, you're paying attention, but action shows that that emotion you carry translates to how you behave. And that love is mostly in family for me.
Wow. Thank you. That's a great beginning, foundation of love in your life. Anybody else? Taran, auntie, uncle, who wants to say anything?
Uncle?
When you do this, I know you want to say something.
My biggest takeaway today is foundation. How to consistently move in love starts with me. How to consistently move in love requires first language. वरना कोई कान सुनने ले तो ये पाचना सबको करना मिले. Whether it's your body language or your words, they वो जैसे control कर वहाँ नहीं चलना, but one just slip goes on and you don't realize what went wrong. Everything was going right. Then the second is consistently stay in this fragrance of love. How to embody Ukumpai every day. So for me, the biggest takeaway when I this spoke was morning, Ekomkar. I'm gonna envelop myself in Ekomkar and walk and see how this love, how I interact in love. Try a lot, but I also but it is kind of talks, these kind of get-togethers are very, very important to rekindle that fire within. That madness is important. Yeah, so great evening. Thank you. I wasn't going to be coming, but I'm so glad I didn't broke that barrier within me to kind of come out and think it was brilliant. I've taken a lot. It's very less. I'm really first implemented. Really, things were.
And Taran does this beautiful thing every morning, which is she does this blog on Instagram. She puts this, not a blog, but she puts out this post called Sharing My Bliss. And it would be clouds smiling, a flower looking at her, trees talking, and all of those things. So I think, okay, any last thoughts? Anyone? Or we can wind down.
जी
प्यार करना ना पवे, बस हो जाए बाबा जी सोच के लिए प्यार करना है, अपने आप खुलता जाए बख्शिश करना.
well मन दी ख्वाहिश होंदी हैगी कि प्यार होंदा जाए अपने आप सो आई थिंक इवेंचुअली ये अवस्था आ जाती है बट बाणी इज pretty clear that first step you will have to take proactiveness होना पाऊ तो भाई गुरदास दी वार भी है कि नमो 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 नेत 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 है that one that first step you take and the guru this is from spiritual angle the guru will take hundreds and thousands of steps first step you will have to take there is that line and ਉਹ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਉਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ the reason I say this and why Bhai Gurdas says that is because not everybody who let me give you something else to think about not everybody who came into contact with Guru Nanak liked him not everybody became his disciple you see so forget that everybody in the world will like you but Guru Nanak nu hi chhadya yaar thonu tusi kaun ho number 1 so that way answer your insight into your corporate culture I am part of corporate culture we can talk about that later on second thing is the action orientation है सारा कुछ हुक्म है everything is grace but you must feel the grace you must feel the grace I mean Guru Nanak's own father it wasn't until his third Udasi then he finally felt according to historical sources that maybe I got it all wrong Mehta Kalu ji I was looking for something all my life and it was right here in my house हाँ जी अग्री बट जिमें वो कह रहे हैं आंटी जी कि मेरी चाहत है कि मंच होंदा रहे ना उत्थे पहला कदम लेना पाऊ एंड द अंकल जी वाज सिटिंग हियर ही लेफ्ट ही गेव अनदर गुरबानी लाइन इट्स फ्रॉम गुरु गोविंद पातशाह आई एम गिविंग यू डिफरेंट द गुरुज आर ऑल द सेम but purposely I am choosing Guru Gobind now because a quote already आ गया which was जिन प्रेम कियो तिन ही प्रपा जिन प्रेम कियो that's the verb action not जिन प्रेम observe करो not जिन प्रेम लिखो not जिन प्रेम फीलो not जिन प्रेम look करो देखो कियो notice he didn't say प्रेम इदा करो he didn't say do this because that defies what love is the idea is if you like something it doesn't matter if you send that person on Instagram you message you call you text damn it do something and that is prem kiyo and then you obtain
good takeaway
it's a very strong one it says that you be ready for change
yeah
you just be so ready for change and I think most of our time in our life we're just so resistant to change we are always in that flight or fight mode mirna kyu why how where ifs and buts we create these dualities every now and then but if you're really in love then you be ready for change dad
it happens
and
it happens now
and sir tar tali guni meri aao I mean what you dad had to over there and be ready so anything would happen
yeah
for all you're just going here but Vaiguruji would change course and you'd be like why me and it just happened with me but you got to be so ready for change and that's how you show that you're love ready
yeah
so you have to be love ready
yeah I love that I want to be love ready
almost 6 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਸ ਰੂਪ ਤੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਆਇਆ ਲਾਸਟ ਟਾਈਮ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਕਵਰ ਕਰਨ ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਬਟ ਉਦੋਂ ਕੈਬ ਤੇ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਾਰ ਤੇ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਬੜੇ 10 ਮਿੰਟ ਤੋਂ ਸੋਚ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁਲੀਗ ਆਇਆ ਕੈਮਰਾ ਪਰਸਨ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਚਲੋ ਕਹਿ ਦਾਂਗਾ ਵੀ ਤੂੰ 10 ਮਿੰਟ ਵੇਟ ਕਰ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਮੋਤੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕ ਲਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ
हिस्ट्री की दसन लग गया वो तेरी भी की है जिमें आप लोग विद सिंह जी ने तो पनामा भेजा ते वो ये कहता सर मैं आगरे का जमया पढ़िया पर 10वीं तक मैं पंजाबी पढ़िया ठीक है कभी सिखी स्कूल से कितों किਵੇਂ रिलेट हो रहा होता है तो मुझे पता ही कुछ नहीं है वैसा संसार है बस एक्चुअली द पॉइंट मैं क्यों शुक्राना कर रहे हैं मारा है वो इश्क ही है सारा वो इस हकीकी करना है जब आज़ादी करना है वो दांडा हो है फॉर मी पर्सनली मैं वो कॉर्पोरेट एंगल तो दस रहा हूँ फॉर मी सिंस आई एम इन वीडियो डिवीजन मेरे वास्ते आ भी लव है बिकॉज जे मेरे ऊपर कुछ पीस लिखना है देन आई हैव टू लव हिम ताही मैं लिख पाऊंगा भी इन्वेंशन किमें हुई है की है सो निष्काम होके करना ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਲੈਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਐਕਸਪੈਕਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਉਹ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਲਵ ਦਿਓ ਵਰਕ ਦਿਓ ਕਿਪਸ ਕਰੋ
Yeah.
I have one more example. Since I'm in Delhi, I must give this example, and you're the one who reminded me of this example with your line. You know, love ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨਾ ਗੱਲ ਕੀ paradoxical ਹੁੰਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋਕ people don't understand what is going on. ਇਹ ਖੇਡ ਕੀ ਹੈ? You know, you must be willing to change. You know, we all talk about Guru Tegh Bahadur Paatshah ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੋਈ, right? ਸੀਸਗੰਜ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ. But you know, a day before his martyrdom, 3 Sikhs were also martyred. And their place is right outside across the street. The reason I'm sharing this with you is you must be willing to change. One of them was Bhai Mati Das, who was cut in half, sawed in half. You know, when he's born in West Punjab, way West Punjab, Jhelum area, way West Punjab, near the part that's Pathan areas, Pakhtunwala province. He has to travel, he's with the Guru, came to Anandpur Sahib, then he has to come to Delhi. So as they're going from Anandpur Sahib to Delhi, there's a conversation between him and the Guru that he's a warrior, by the way. He's fought battles. So the conversation is, why don't we fight? I mean, why don't we fight? And it's a beautiful conversation between him and Guru Tegh Bahadur. And Guru Tegh Bahadur, remember, Guru Tegh Bahadur himself is a warrior. His name was something else, but it was changed to Tegh Bahadur by his dad. So, oh, love jeda na, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You must be willing to change. And Guru says, you know, right now is not the time to fight. And his last words, you know what his last wish was? Bhai Mati Das? You know, they always ask you their last wish. Does anybody know what his last wish was? She does. What was his last wish? They asked him, what do you want? And he says, as you're, you know, suing me, just make sure I'm facing my Guru. Meaning that he was very clear. A warrior, he's so good at it. But hukum is nahi karni ladai. That means just because you're good at something doesn't mean you get to utilize that tool. You must be willing to change. And he took it, he was cut in half, and that is the epitome example of what love is. You must be willing to do whatever it takes. Sir tar tali gali meri aao. That's what my Mati Das says. Yeah. And you Delhiites, you ought to know, there are 2 others who went down with him. I say they not went down, but they went up, you know, and on 3 different ways. The idea is not torture or death. The idea is complete submission. That you are higher than me, I will do anything that you ask. I mean, that's what it is. It's all about.
Wow, beautiful. You came in towards the end, but anything that you picked up and you'd like to share? Yeah.
So this is my first time attending this, and I came in right in the middle. So
Right, thank you.
I really liked what Auntie said earlier, that my takeaway from this entire conversation would be that you should have love within yourself first, and you should love yourself first to give it to others. So that's what I'm going to be taking home today.
Okay.
That you should have love within yourself to give it to somebody.
Right, beautiful. Okay, last question.
हाँ जी?
गलत को गलत कहना गलत है. गलत को गलत कहना
देखो
गलत है.
गलत की क्वेश्चन इज कि गलत को गलत कहना गलत है. Yes, that I'm telling everybody, that's the question. So, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਲਤ ਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਫਿਰ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਝੂਠੇ ਹੋਗੇ. Right? So, if you want to walk on path of love, but you're not even able to tell the truth, forget आशिकी. वो तो सपनों में भी नहीं आएगी. Now that is a more serious question. That is the serious question, because right and wrong are subjective. Okay, they're not clear cut. They can be based on legal matters, they can be based on ethical matters, they can be based on your morals, your value systems. आपकी परवरिश कैसे हुई. So there, it's a gray area. But the idea is, if you believe what you believe in is right, then you must speak. You must speak. Your original guru spoke. When he saw a genocide, he spoke up. And he was thrown in jail for that. I'm talking about Guru Nanak. If you don't believe me, whenever you go to Pakistan, there is a jail there. They have preserved it, where he was jailed. So the idea is, that requires more introspection, जो सी कह रही हूँ, but there you must speak up. I thought that was the last question.
We can continue the conversations
We'll
at
continue.
coffee.
All the gurus were the same. If you believe in Gurbani, it's Shabad, that all the gurus were the same, only, their sharir was different. So if you, to me, Guru Nanak is no different than Guru Gobind Singh Ji, no different than Guru Amar Das. They are all the same. The idea is, Gurbani de jede message, we need to integrate that into our personality. Because Guru Gobind Padsha submitted to Khalsa. He made you the Guru. Now it's another thing, you don't want to be part. If Guru is willing to give you, but do you want to be part of the Guru? That is the question. Right? He didn't tell Dayaram, get up, I want to give you Amrit. He just asked, koi hai. Dayaram, out of his love for the Guru, out of his devotion for the Guru, out of his, fill in the blank, whatever for the Guru, he said, you know what, I give myself to the Guru. He was willing to, I 100% guarantee karda, he didn't know what he was getting into. He had no idea what he was getting into. And remember, this is not just an act of submission. It is the thought that I will carry forward from now on your ideas, because they're much higher than mine. And that's what it is.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody. We've gone a little above time, and thank you for being here so patiently.